What's for dinner? Hey everyone, I'm Chef Z and welcome back to my channel, Chef Z Cooks. Today we're going to be making smothered pork chops with sweet onions and apples. Now, let me tell you guys something. This has to be hands down one of my all-time favorite pork chop recipes, and I recently jazzed it up and added apples because guess what? Your girl went apple picking and picked 25 pounds of apples. And initially I was like, this is awesome. I'll get to make some apple pie, some apple crisp, apple bread, apple everything. And let me tell you something. I still had apples left. So I added apples to my favorite smothered pork chop recipe. And what ended up happening is something that is super delicious. So of course I have to share the magic with you. Now hang tight until the very end of the video because I do like to share some quick tips. Let's go ahead and get started. Making smothered pork chops is really easy, and I love that we take simple ingredients and let them shine. So first things first, we're going to take some Dijon mustard and we're going to add that to our low sodium chicken stock, and we're going to whisk that all together until it's well combined. Now the Dijon mustard is going to make our chicken stock nice and creamy, and is also going to add a subtle tartness. So once we've whisked that together, we're going to set that off to the side, and now we're going to season our pork chops. We're going to take some kosher salt and we're going to generously season the pork chops, followed by some fresh black pepper. Now we want to generously season our pork chops because this is pretty much the only time that we get to season this whole entire dish. And don't worry, in this case, simple is best because we really want those onions and those apples to really shine later on. So once we've seasoned one side of the pork chops, we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip them over and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, like most of the pork recipes here on my channel, you have the option of choosing whatever cut of pork you like. So if you like a thinner pork chop or a bone-in pork chop, go ahead and use that instead. Just know that depending on the thickness of your pork chop, it will affect the cook time. We're now going to set the flame to medium and we're going to add some olive oil. And once that olive oil is nice and hot, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the pork chops and we're going to let them brown on each side for a few minutes. Now, the browning of the pork chops is super important because this is going to build color, but more importantly, it's also going to build flavor. So after a few minutes, we're going to go ahead and flip them over and let them brown on the other side. And as you can see, we've already begun building a crust, which is absolutely beautiful. And after about 7 to 10 minutes, once the pork chops have finished browning, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take them out and set them to the side. As you can see, we have these awesome little brown spots here in the pan, and all of that is some serious gold and flavor. We're going to add some butter, and once the butter has finished melting, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the star of the show, which in this case is actually the onions and the apples. Now, we're also going to add a little bit of salt and pepper just to help them sweat as they saute. And we're going to saute them for about 2 to 3 minutes until the onions begin to get a little bit soft. And afterwards, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our low sodium chicken stock. And we're also going to add some fresh sage, which is honestly amazing, especially during this time of year. And once you've added those two things, we're going to go ahead and mix everything. Keep it in mind to scrape the bottom of the pan just a little bit to get those brown bits, which are full of flavor. And once your sauce has begun to simmer, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our pork chops back in, along with any extra juice that may have settled in the dish where they were resting. Now, this is where the pork chops will finish cooking, and it's up to you how long you want to let them cook for. If you like a thick sauce, feel free to reduce the sauce for about 20 minutes, or if you like it a little bit thinner, then turn down the flame a little bit sooner. As you can see here, I love for my sauce to be on the thicker side, and this sauce is full of flavor. So there you guys have it, my recipe for smothered pork chops. If you have any questions, visit my website or comment down below. And until next week, I'm Chef Z y buen provecho. Alright guys, here are some quick tips to make sure that you get these smothered pork chops perfect each and every single time. Now, for my first tip, feel free to use whatever type of pork chop that you want. So it can be boneless, just like I did in today's video, or it can be bone in, or it can be a thinner cut. Now, depending on the type of pork chop that you use, more importantly, how thick or how thin it is, it will affect your cook time. So just be on the lookout for that. Now, for my second tip, when using some chicken stock, I highly recommend that you use a chicken stock that is low sodium. And bonus, if you can find a chicken stock that is free range and hormone free. Now, for my third tip is once you've added the apples, the chicken stock, and the onions, you're going to be creating this amazing gravy, and you can reduce it down to your desired thickness. Now, I love for my gravy to be nice and thick, so I cook mine for about 20 minutes. But if you want it a little bit thinner, just cook it a little bit less. Just make sure that your pork chops are cooked all the way through. So there you guys have it, some quick tips to making sure that you make the best smothered pork chops. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions, comment down below and visit my website, Chef Z Cooks. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell so that you're notified each and every single time. And if you're looking for inspiration on what to make next, go ahead and click right here.